Aloha, namaste. This is Radha, and I'm here to talk about our energies this week. We have two big shifts happening with both Mercury and Mars. And to begin with, I'm going to talk about Mercury's transit into Taurus, where he's joining Jupiter and Venus and the Sun. When Mercury, Venus, and Jupiter all come together in a sign, we call this a Saraswati yoga. Saraswati is the goddess of knowledge and wisdom and creativity. She is the patron of the arts and music. And so we have this blessing when this creative sign of Venus, this wisdom sign of Jupiter, or excuse me, planet, and Mercury, the planet of our communication, come together. It is different depending on which sign it's in, of course. And in this case, it's in Taurus, where we have already an artistic bent. This is Venus's own sign. It's where we're very earthy. It's where we're passionate and creative. And so we have an opportunity to really dive into that creative energy during this period. We are going to each have it in, of course, a different house in our chart. And technically, it's only considered a Saraswati yoga if it's in one of the angles, the structural houses, the first, fourth, seventh, and 10th, or if it's one of the dharmic houses, the trinal houses, which are the first, fifth, and ninth, or the second house, which is the natural house of communication and our values and our possessions and our taste in things such as our taste in clothing or our taste in jewelry come out in the second house. So for each of us, right, some of us, it will fall in one of those houses. For Taurus Lagna, it'll be in your first house. For Libra people, it will be with your ruling planet still, but it'll be in your eighth house, and that's going to make it very different. So I talk about this in my forecast for all 12 signs. I do this weekly for my Patreon group, and I break down the different transits, and I talk about how Mercury's shift into Taurus is going to be different for each of us. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so we can see how this is happening on the 31st. Mercury just fresh into Taurus here. And the three of them are going to be together until the 12th of July, when Venus will actually be moving out. Yeah, it's on June 12th, not July 12th. So this is about, 2 weeks almost that we have these three together here. And Mercury obviously moves quite quickly, so he'll be moving into Rohini, pretty much in the next few days from here. I can see the exact time of that. And Rohini is the star that has the most of this sort of sensual, playful, creative, youthful energy in it, where we can really be almost childlike in our creative energy, and also a heavy focus on beauty. So for those of you who are already artistic, this is a great boon for your work that you're doing. For those of you that might not normally delve into your artistic and creative side, this can be a really cool opportunity to play with that and to have some fun expressing yourself in ways that are different than how you normally do. For Leo Lugna, for example, which happens to be the Lugna that just came up here with the chart I drew, this is the 10th house, and this is the house of your work that you put out into the world. So this can be a great time to really infuse some of that creative energy, especially since Jupiter is actually your fifth lord, which, is about that childlike creative intelligence. So let's, I was just going to see how quickly Mercury moved into Rohini. Mercury moves into Rohini by the 5th of June. So Jupiter is going to move slower and won't be joining in Rohini, I don't think, over this time. But Mercury, Venus, and the sun, and even the moon, right? This is right before our new moon, right? Our new moon happens on the 6th. This is right before that. We have Mercury, moon, sun, and Venus all here in Rohini. And actually, it might just be that the new moon is happening on the 5th here in Hawaii because we're a little bit earlier time zone. No, it'll still be very early on the 6th here. So allowing ourselves to really access that energy of the maiden and of that part of ourselves that what's magnetic about the maiden, what's magnetic about this childlike energy in Rohini is being completely present with what you're doing. As adults, we move into the space of noticing everything around us and really controlling our circumstances because we have learned that we have to, right? There's so many different factors that we're reckoning with at any given moment, things that are about to happen, things that have just happened, things we know could happen, different rules we have to abide by and different, things that must get done. We live in a very have-to presence. And one of the beautiful things about the star of Rohini is we move out of that have-to energy and into what we want to do, what we desire to do, what we love to do. All of Taurus has this energy, but Rohini is really where it shines. And having these planets here is really going to be helpful for that. Now, one thing to note is see how close the sun and Venus are here. And this is on the 6th. So this is for that new moon. Venus is like right there. And when any planet is close to the sun, it's called combust. And it's essentially an energy where the sun's hot rays are burning up the energetic of that planet. Venus is the planet of our happiness. It's the planet of our relationships. It's a planet of our ability to enjoy pleasure. And when the sun is burning up that, we might have a shorter fuse with our capacity to give and receive pleasure and to be happy. We might feel some pressure, perhaps from an authority figure. The sun usually represents some kind of authority in our life, whether that's your father or, a boss on a, larger societal scale. It represents government and those people in charge. We might feel some pressure around that we're not really allowed to fully embody ourselves in some way. Or we might even feel, since it's Rohini itself, where there's a lot of this energy of perhaps her husband and her father taking too much interest in her. Maybe that's where it's coming from. Maybe there's too much magnetism and we feel overwhelmed by how much attention we're receiving. This would be especially true for somebody who was, say, a Taurus Lagna, because all these planets are right on the first house. So it's really about your identity. And also Venus is your ruling planet. Libra, like I said, will also feel this energy of it being their ruling planet, but it's in the 8th house. So there's going to be a lot of fear and a need to transform through these energies. So if you're interested in knowing what it is for you specifically, you can go to my patreon.com, Radha Home Astrology, and check that out. I'll have a link at the end of this video and in the comments. But the other thing I want to talk about was this Mars shift. And I'm going to move it back a couple days because Mars moves the day after Mercury moved into Taurus. Mars leaves Rahu and moves into his own sign of Aries. Here we have a real channel for our sense of action and courage and discipline and bravery and ability to really show up for the things in our life. So this is also really supportive to this Saraswati yoga because it allows us to maybe block out time and put energy and fire into some project we've been working on. If we're just kind of doodling away or doing something because it's purely fun, we might not actually put it out or spend the amount of time necessary to really craft and bring that energy of perfectionism and skill that Saraswati endows upon us. And I think with Mars being here in his own sign, we have a chance to really, come again and again back to the same thing, that quality of discipline where we do repetitive action. You show up daily for your yoga practice or for your daily run or for, whatever kind of dietary choices you make. That quality, when Mars is in really strong dignity, which he is when he's in his own sign, really helps us to channel energy that could otherwise turn into anger. And it still can, for sure. When Mars is in Aries, we have the most potential to kind of get explosive and warlike just because that's Aries energy in and of itself. But we also really have this ability to carve out time for ourself, to strengthen ourself in some way. And if we have this blessing of all this artistry and creativity and wisdom and knowledge, we can channel it towards that as well. So we do have some fiery energy, Mars and Aries, and the sun, getting super close to Venus. Really, Venus is super close this whole week, not just on that 5th. But we also have this presence and this earthy, grounded capacity to really create something beautiful. So I wanted to share that, and I hope you all have a blessed week. There's a lot more peace running in this week than we've had over the last couple of weeks. And maybe we can take some of that turmoil that we just went through and turn it into something incredible and creative and beautiful. If you're interested in booking a reading with me, you can go to radhahomeastrology.com. And I also have a really exciting summit I'm doing with a bunch of beautiful women who are Vedic astrologers. And we are offering this for free to the community. There's going to be recordings if you can't come. It's June 3rd through the 6th. And it's the Inner Light Jyotish Summit. And there's 14 incredible female Jyotishis. We're each going to share on a variety of topics. I'm personally going to share on the results that come from Raja Yogas. When we have structure and Dharma come together, how much that can really make things happen, both in your natal chart and also by transit. So I hope to see you there, and I will have a link to sign up for that as well in my description. Have a blessed and beautiful week, and I'll see you soon. Namaste.